Hey guys, welcome back to Her Career, Her Way, a podcast all about empowering ambitious individuals by giving them the tools, strategies, and having honest conversations to help kind of navigate building one's career in their 20s, which is chaotic. And I definitely know as somebody who is 20. And so today's episode is all about kind of being comfortable in the discomfort. I think nowadays in society, and I've definitely felt this personally, I think it's something that we've kind of lost in our generation is how to communicate and how to speak. And there's so much power in how you can communicate and how you talk. And it has so many impacts on just your life in general, whether it's from interview skills, networking, talking in class. I mean, there's so many facets that we use of public speaking. And today we have a really special guest on. His name is Kevin, and he is a senior at Florida State University. And I recognized him on TikTok actually, where he makes 60-second videos all about doing a public speaking challenge. And this was inspired by the Higher Up Wellness. And it's definitely a cool one. So you speak into the camera for 1 minute about any topic that you like, and you kind of get better articulation, you get better at using less filler words, you learn how to communicate. And these are all skills so important for somebody who's building their career, but also just an important skill in life in general. So I definitely wanted to get him on and kind of share his experience. So let's get into it. What this episode is going to be about today is being comfortable in the discomfort. And I know you've been making TikToks and doing the 60-second public speaking challenge, which was inspired by the Higher Up Wellness. And so I kind of just wanted to ask you, what is the 60-second public speaking challenge for those who don't know, and what was your motivation to get into it?
Yeah. Well, let's get into it. And I like the way that you mentioned kind of the whole point of my channel now is, I guess, to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Like doing this is something I'd never expected to do, and it's uncomfortable, but it's cool. But anyway, the speaking challenge, it was originally I had a presentation to do for my internship, and I realized I was horrible at public speaking. Right? I mean, I'm confident in a lot of ways, I think, and everything. But for some odd reason, like public speaking, getting up and speaking, it was just like I think a lot of people get it just like your heart is racing, hands are clammy, and it's very uncomfortable. And I was like, well, how can I get better at this without? I mean, it's not easy to find situations to public speak, right? So I saw this challenge online, and I was like, you know what, I feel like I should probably do that, right? Like it'll probably help me. And I've had some friends post stuff online, day in the lives, that kind of thing, and I've always been nervous too. I mean, I don't want to be some kind of big influencer or anything. I don't really care about that. But I thought, well, if this can help me, there's no reason not to try. And that's kind of where it started. The first day, I think I took about 6 takes to do, and then I was just like, all right, screw this. Let me just post it. And then since then, my whole thing is like, I really only try to take one take.
Yeah, which is kind of hard. I mean, I definitely think I've been told that the number one fear in most people is public speaking, and then the number two is death. So just that kind of reference point of hearing about that is amazing. And I also think it's kind of in our biology to be afraid of public speaking because of just the fear of judgment and how people will perceive you because of that. I mean, you're literally just putting yourself out there, you're putting your voice out there, your thoughts, your opinions. And in this day and age when we can videotape and we can edit and do all of that, public speaking, I feel like, is one of those things that you can't really have a second chance at. And so that's, terrifying in itself. And so I guess I kind of wanted to ask, when you heard yourself back for the first time, how did that feel?
I hated it. I didn't even listen to the whole video. I honestly don't listen to my videos. I listen to the first few seconds of it, and I get that cringe, and then I just hit post. Right? That's really the only way you have to do it. If you're someone like how I was 90 days ago, who didn't like the sound of my own voice. I didn't even like the sound of my voice in recordings, and there's no reason to, right? Everyone has their voice. Everyone has their, how the way they look and the way they sound, and I don't know why a lot of people cringe at that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you mentioned kind of about seeing your friends post online and videos and things like that day in the life. And were you ever kind of judging them per se of like releasing those videos?
Yeah. I mean I think it's human nature to judge other people, right? Even if it is something that's helping them and they're getting positive feedback from, you're going to judge people that are different than you. That's kind of a lot of stuff I've learned just from doing this and as I've grown up. You're going to judge people that are different no matter what they're doing. I've been on that side of it. I've been on the other side of it where people are judging me, and it's just kind of how it goes. But if you can figure out how to look beyond that and step into other people's shoes and realize, well, they're not doing anything that weird. They're doing what they think is cool and what they think is interesting. And I think that's a good way to kind of let go of judging other people and getting away from that fear of people judging you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think one of the things about judgment that I feel like, and that I've learned just by reading a lot of books and listening to a lot of people, is that when we judge something, it's actually us internalizing our own fears and projecting it out onto other people. So if I kind of judge somebody for being overly confident, maybe that's something that I'm insecure about myself, that I don't feel that I'm confident in myself. And so I think we can get really stuck in that thing where we project our own fears onto other people. And that's why I think it's so important to kind of just look inwards and see what is actually like holding us back in terms of how we're judging other people.
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
How have you kind of showed up anyways and committed to this public speaking challenge?
I mean, well, fortunately enough for me, I guess no one's been that harsh. I think mostly because what I'm doing is it's not like it's offending anyone or that strange or anything. But it's like life keeps going, even if people are, and even if they're doing it behind your back. Like, especially if people speak behind your back, it's like, is that really affecting your life? I think I made a video about this as well. It's like if you have people in your life or people that are maybe talking behind your back that they're not saying it to your face. It's like, well, if you don't want to be like those people and you don't necessarily respect them, then and it's not affecting your life, then it doesn't really matter. I mean, if you look at any successful leader ever, they've been judged just as much as they've been loved. Political leaders, CEOs of companies, no matter if you like them or not, they got the life that they wanted for the most part, and they did it with judgment behind their back. So it's like you can't let that affect you.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of, I guess, like tuning out the noise of other people and just you wanted to do something and public speaking was your goal and you just honed into that and that's what you did. And that's, it's really brave to kind of put yourself out there. So definitely commend you on that. And
Thanks.
then I guess
I commend you on doing this channel as well, by the way. Just I wanted to, this is cool.
thanks. Thank you. Yeah, I'm very thankful for having you on this podcast as well. Yeah, it's brave to put your voice out there and to speak about what matters to you. This podcast is all about kind of giving people the tools and the strategies and having honest conversations like we are right now to kind of just see the chaotic landscape of your 20s and building one's career in it. It's definitely messy, and there's so many skills that we can learn throughout our development. You've been doing this for 90 plus days now, and I know it's like a kind of 100-day challenge and things like that. And I know now that you kind of don't think of it as a challenge, but did you have kind of a breaking point where you wanted to quit the challenge and just not show up anymore? And how did you kind of push through that?
Yeah, for sure. I would say there was a point probably at like day 30 to 50. I can't really remember, but I just, the biggest thing for me is I just didn't have much to talk about, right? And I still hated doing it. I still was nervous to click play every single time. And it wasn't like, oh, I can't wait to make my little video. It was not like that. And you ask yourself these questions like, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? Like this is probably stupid. I'm gonna look back and say this is stupid. And I didn't, obviously, but you have these questions, and it's like, even if all that might be true, just the fact that I told myself that I wanted to do it, if you make a promise to yourself and then you don't do that, I treat it the same as if I make a promise to a friend. I'm going to fulfill that promise, right? You got to treat yourself as your best friend. If your friend tells you to do something and you promise him that you'll do it and then you don't do it, he's going to think you're a horrible friend, right? And you got to do the exact same thing for yourself. So that's kind of what kept me going.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think one of the main things is accountability partners and just having somebody to keep you accountable for what you're doing. And I feel like we always are thinking about how we're going to let other people down, but I think what's even more important to think about is how are you going to actually let yourself down as well? Because at the end of the day, this is you showing up for you and doing something that you want to achieve. Sometimes it's hard for us to kind of work on ourselves. And so it's easier to think about it through like a friend or a lens like that.
Yeah, yeah. And to add on to that, you say it's not easy to help yourself. One thing that I've kind of realized from starting this as well is, I'll get DMs from people, this is great, I need to start. And then I just tell them like, just do it, just start. And they're like, no, I can't, I'm too like blah, blah, blah. You don't have to ask permission to do something that you should. People I find to start something, which is always the hardest part, to start something that maybe even they want to do, but they're nervous to do. They ask their friends, they ask their family, they ask people, and they want positive feedback, right? We're all subconsciously, in dire need of people's approval. And it's like, you're not going to get everyone's approval, right? I mean, you might get some people's approval, but you're not going to get them all. And you don't need that, right? You just got to start. Like, I didn't tell a single soul that I was going to do this. I was just like, you know what? I know that it's going to help me, and it doesn't really matter if I get positive or negative feedback. And it's definitely hard to kind of separate yourself from that, but it's I think a necessity.
I think it's such a human nature thing to kind of look for external validation. And we think we have an idea, but maybe it's not a good idea in our heads. And us as humans, we constantly overcomplicate things. And I think external validation will get you somewhere to a point, but honestly, the most important thing is having that intrinsic motivation and something finding your why of why you're doing it. And I think something as we grow up, and I know that as I've grown and still growing and still learning and things like that, you realize that the most important voice and the most important thing that you need to hear is actually from yourself. It's hard when people don't like your ideas or don't agree with you, but why does that matter kind of if you know what you're doing is right? And again, if you're not harming anyone, why is it not a reason to start?
I totally agree. If it's totally something that's focused around you, you're not going out offending someone, talking ill of somebody else. There's there's really no reason to be super nervous and afraid of it.
And so I guess I kind of wanted to talk about you wanted to start this challenge as well to build your articulation. And kind of what have you recognized with that? Has it improved? Are you using less filler words? What's your kind of reflection back on that?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's kind of funny. My growing up, my dad used to always talk horribly about our generation and how we always say and like, especially like. He would always tell me, in a job interview, when you say like, they're just gonna not give you the job, which I think is not necessarily true for our generation because everyone does. But he has a point, and the less we can say like and these filler words and speak well and articulate, the more people I think will listen, and it's probably just advantageous in general. And I have found that I am a lot more cognizant of it, and my vocabulary has gotten a lot better. When you don't focus on something, it's not going to get any better. So now that I'm finally focusing on it, and truthfully, still don't have the best vocabulary. I'll be in rooms with people a lot smarter than me, and they'll be using these big words, and I'll be like, "What does that even mean?" But doing this challenge, I think it definitely helps. You just once you hear yourself, you listen to what you're doing wrong, and you can tweak that and you can adjust it. And You become good at what you practice a lot of. And people don't really talk about how speaking is just like anything else. It's a skill. And the more you do it, the better you're going to be at it.
Yeah. And I definitely think speaking in general is one of those skills that we're expected to just know. And in school, yes, we're kind of taught about it. We have seminars or oral assessments, and there's debate and things like that. But I feel like rarely are we really taught how to communicate our ideas in a concise manner. We do it with writing, we do it with grammar, but speaking is one of those things that I just feel like we're not told about. And now with kind of social media on the buzz, everybody's double speeding the TikToks or Instagram reels or whatever that is. And just we're getting so much just stimulation into our brains and things that are just honestly most of the time just rubbish. Like filler words are taking away from your message that you're actually talking about. And I think there is a power in just being silent sometimes and listening and communicating when you have something important to say. So I guess what's your kind of take on silence and listening?
Yeah. I mean, people say fewer words that you have, the more meaningful they are. It's probably something I'm still working on. I'm kind of a yapper, to be honest. But I mean, it's definitely true. And I mean, if someone's very good at communicating, they can have the same message in a quarter of the words than someone that kind of rambles on and doesn't really get to the point. So yeah, I would say for sure silence, it's definitely a good quality to have. And just to be able to listen. I do think that's another thing about maybe our generation is we're not the best active listeners. I think a lot of the times we butt in, we interrupt people instead of actually listening to what someone's saying. We're just thinking about what we're about to say. And I'm definitely a culprit of that as well. And I think maybe that's a outcome of the fact that we're always consuming stuff on our phones. We have a lot less time in a group project like environment. I don't know about you, but all my classes are massive lectures and we just kind of sit and listen. There's not a whole lot of collaboration and not a whole lot of actually speaking. I think that hurts us in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's definitely a lost art. I mean, I also sit in mass lectures and just listening to 2 hours of just my professor going on and on about a topic. And it's definitely hard to sometimes just pay attention. And where I feel like we really learn is in conversations and communicating and asking those questions.
I completely agree with that, and I feel the same way. And I also wanted to touch up on the whole point of me doing this challenge and everything to get better at public speaking. Well, I still get nervous getting up and speaking. So one thing I want to just point out there is with doing this, every single time that I am in a public environment where I try to be as curious as I can, so I try to have questions, but I force myself to get up and talk. The bigger the environment, the more pressure I put on myself to actually do it because all of this is kind of pointless if I'm not actually applying it to my life, right? So I want to put that out there as well. You can practice all day, put it into a phone, but it's a lot different. Even if hundreds, maybe thousands of people see it online, it's way different than that in-person element of it.
Yeah. How have you recognized your public speaking filter into, like, have a ripple effect into other aspects of your life, like either relationships or just interviews or even your kind of internship presentation? How has it kind of improved the other aspects of your life?
We're going to take a short break here, but don't go anywhere because Kevin has so many more insights to share and unexpected outcomes that come from just showing up.
How has it kind of improved the other aspects of your life?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And it has in ways that I would have never expected. The more I get up and speak in rooms full of strangers, the more people, one, they recognize me, two, they want to come up and talk to me about whatever my question may have been. It's almost like I get to know them without having just a 1v1 conversation. I'm a lot more present, and being present, I've learned is just very important. I mean, it's easy to be a fly on the wall and just sit and listen, but you're not going to have those relationships. And I'm going into commercial real estate, which is an extremely relationship driven business. And that's why I think I'll do well in it. And I really like it. But that's a big reason as well. I knew I needed to get better at public speaking and speaking in general. And, from doing it, I've met so many people and stuff like this. I mean, I would never have met you. I would never have had the opportunity to come on here and do this if I didn't just take that step to do it.
And you're right. I think communicating and just speaking in general is taking that one step to just put yourself out there, which is so frightening sometimes. I mean, it's scary to just put yourself out there, but how many kind of opportunities can you get when you do that? It's almost as if you're reflecting on yourself when you're looking back on these videos and things like that, which I think is something that more people just need to do on a daily basis, because that's how you can kind of recognize things that are maybe keeping you stuck or limiting beliefs or even things like that. I read a research article recently about they did a trial and studies showed that people who actually changed their thoughts and beliefs about their public speaking and changed how they perceived it, saying instead of I can't do this towards I can do this, they actually had an improved performance. I think we really limit ourselves as humans. And once we change that just perception of ourselves, we can unleash so much more that we didn't even know.
I totally agree. I mean, you have to believe in yourself, and I think that's probably half the battle. I also kind of, I have philosophies like that. Like, you have to almost be like unrealistic. People, like, if people are telling you you're unrealistic, like, that's a good thing, in my opinion, because like if you set the bar up here, you're going to be aiming for that all day, right? And you're going to be doing it every single day. You're going to do as much as you can. Even if you only get to maybe here, that's still so much better than if you were to like not even set the bar at all or set it for like down here. Because if you set it for down here, once you get there, you should be like, oh, wow, I did my job. Now what am I going to do? Now you're probably just going to get distracted and you're going to go lower, if we're being real. So that's kind of my philosophy on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Setting the bar high and kind of, I don't know, almost being delusional about it as well.
Yeah,
And not
that's
to
the
a
word I
point
was
where, yeah, kind of
delusional.
acting
That's the word.
delusional.
Yeah.
Yeah. And definitely acting as if. That's a new concept I've kind of been ruminating with, of just acting as if you already are that person that you want to be and that
Mm-hmm.
goal that you want to achieve or that dream that you want to achieve. And then I feel like just things will come to you with that. You have the intention, you have what you want to do, and then you're taking the actionable steps and then, just letting it go. Like you are that person already and act as if, and then things will fall in line.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, imposter syndrome is very real, and everyone gets it. Like, for example, my sister, she's a pilot for the Navy. My family's very, very high achievers. I'm trying to, be the same, but she's a pilot for the Navy, and she even told me she gets imposter syndrome. And I was like, well, why? You're like one of the smartest people that I know. You're flying jets for the military. How could you think that you don't belong here? And she just does. It's something that everyone struggles with. What do they say? I saw someone have a quote. It was like, if you want to fall asleep, just act like you're asleep. And it's so stupid and simple, but it's true. And I even apply that when I'm trying to sleep now, and it maybe helps, maybe. But yeah, you have to act like you've already gotten to the finish line if you want to be at the finish line, I think.
Yeah. Wow, she's definitely doing a lot. Yeah. Definitely high achievers. Yeah, and it can be intimidating sometimes just to be around those people, but I think it's also you can reframe it as being just an inspiration. Like this is where you've seen this, you like it. How can you also like emanate that as well? What are kind of the main takeaways that you've had from this challenge? And what would you tell, day one, Kevin, about this?
Day one, Kevin, I guess just do what you like, do what you think is interesting, do the things now that, one, are uncomfortable, but two, that they're going to help you grow. Even if it fails, if it all goes to crap, at least you're going to learn. I like to have the quote, either I win or I learn, right? If something goes wrong, then I learn, and then in that case, I'm still winning, right? And I think that's kind of the way you have to look at it. You just got to keep going, and the world keeps spinning no matter what. Another thing is like most of the people, they're doing stuff in their own lives. Like the world keeps spinning no matter what you do, and people don't care that much in reality. So go do what you want.
That's great advice. Definitely. Definitely just do what you want. And you are living your life just for you. And it's so important to not kind of live it for somebody else because that's not going to make you happy. And being in the status quo or just following that trajectory that everybody else has, but that's not connected to you, I don't really feel like that's going to fulfill you. And honestly, I don't think you're going to do as good of a job as you would have done something that you're passionate about. And so I guess you want to go into commercial real estate. And was that something that your, I don't know, parents told you to do or something that somebody told you you're good at? Or did you just want to go in it for you?
Yeah, absolutely not. My family are not in business at all. My family is all military. They wanted me to do that, but I just found it on my own. I like relationship based business. I saw how lucrative of a career it could be. From a kind of an early age. If you're on the ownership side of real estate, 99% of millionaires own real estate, so that's goes to show a little bit. And still, like, they don't understand it, which is fine. And that's another piece of advice. It's like, your parents, I mean, maybe they do understand, and that's great, but for a lot of people, you're probably going to end up doing something a lot different than your parents, maybe even your friends at the time. And it's scary, it's very uncomfortable, but if you know that's what you want, then you're going to be miserable later in life if you don't go after and chase that. You're also going to resent the people that told you not to do it. You're going to resent, your friends and your family that didn't understand it, maybe doubted it. And you're going to probably blame them when in reality, it's not their fault. It's your fault for not breaking out of that and doing it for yourself. But I think for a long time, I probably victimized myself as well. And, you think, oh, well, I don't have family in the business. I have all these, disadvantages, right? I think that's kind of a loser's mentality, and you just got to go out there and get it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all of those excuses and when we victimize ourselves and things like that, those are limiting beliefs and those are fear of not going out and thinking we can do these things. And it's so important just to kind of push through it. And I think what you kind of mentioned is it's the simple things. Even if you are scared to do it, just kind of do it anyways and just show up consistently. And I was wondering if this challenge has kind of helped you grow your discipline and your perseverance skills.
100%. I mean, I actually made a video about this as well. It's not just to get better at public speaking. There's so many other benefits that I found. It's being very disciplined, being consistent with myself. I go to a big party school, Florida State University, and there's a lot of not necessarily great influences. So it's very easy to get stuck and distracted in that environment. And, when you're working towards something every day, every single time I put my phone down and I take a video as if I am the person that I want to be. And, when I do that, all those outside distractions, all of those negative impacts on my life, I remind myself every day that I don't want that. And it's helped me grow a lot. And I wake up way earlier. I get way more done in the day, way more focused. And it helps me track all the things that limited me in the past and helps me figure out what are the best habits to get me to where I want to be. And I definitely just doing something every single day that is good for you. It's going to help you in every single element of your life when it comes to discipline. And I promise you that, that person that you want to be, that successful, stand-up person that's influential, they took years to develop those habits and that discipline.
Yeah, it's about the commitment to show up, like you said, and the consistency. I mean, I think that has a compounding effect, which I always bang on about, of just doing the small steps really do have a significant impact later on. I mean, it's seen in finance, it's seen in
Yeah.
time, it's seen in habits. It's everywhere. So it's kind of undeniable. And you kind of talked about acting as if you already have like achieved your goals and you wake up and you think about who you want to be. And so I guess my next question is what is your dream life and like what do you want to become and what's next for you after kind of the challenge that has now just infiltrated your life so much more and had so many unexpected positive impacts on you.
Yeah, no, I can get into that. It's exciting just thinking about it. So,
Yeah.
I actually made a video about like what my definition of wealth is and what I want to be. I mean, the biggest thing is I don't want to be a slave to my career and to my job. I think, you should love your job so it doesn't necessarily feel like working, but also, one day down the road, I want to have the freedom to not necessarily have to do it if I don't want to. I want the freedom to, go out and make my own company in something else or try something new, move to a new place. I think that is long-term goals. And, I want a family and I want to be able to support them. That's absolutely huge for me. Freedom, family, and then experiences is massive for me. I love traveling. I've been to Europe and some other countries, and which I'm very blessed to be able to do. You're a traveler as well, and I think you could probably agree with me that seeing the world and seeing how other people, live their lives, that is so, it gives you perspective on the world. And I want to do that. I want to go to everywhere. I want to go as far as I can, as many places as I can, immerse myself in as many cultures and experiences as I can. And that's a big goal for me as well. We're only on this earth for so long, and I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't try to see it all.
I think traveling is probably one of the most important things that you can do. Yeah, as you said, it broadens your perspective. You get to understand different people's ways of living, different people's cultures. I think it helps build empathy. Just having the realization that there's more to this world than you thought prior. Spending money towards travel is never a waste. I don't think, even if
I
you don't enjoy the place, I think it's something that is never a waste of money.
I totally agree.
But yeah, those are really good goals. I really like that. I like that you want to have freedom. I think, yes, especially nowadays, right now in our lives, I mean, we are constantly thinking about our careers. College counselors are telling us about our careers. There's always a career event. You talk about it with your friends. What are you doing next? Or what does the economy look like for jobs, which is, at a really big time low right now. And obviously, building your career is absolutely something that needs to be at the forefront of your mind. But there are also so many different facets towards life and how you can enjoy it. And I think it's just important as a reminder to ourselves when we're, navigating this chaotic life is that there's just so much uncertainty right now, but you will, if you have the right mentality and you know what you want to achieve, you will get there. And you should also just live life to the fullest and just enjoy it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm a big believer in just going outside, appreciating the fresh air, and with all the chaos and the crazy amounts of information and influences to our brain, get out there and just chill sometimes too. Go on a hike, go do the sport you like to do, enjoy the fresh air and the sunshine. I think that's essential for our health. I think humans were supposed to live like that. And, the past 100 years, we've kind of strayed away a little bit, but I think it's definitely good to go back to our roots a little bit.
And so you've talked about some of your inspirations, but I guess kind of where do you go to when you kind of are feeling down or you wanted to quit or something and you just need somebody to kind of re-inspire you or remotivate you?
I like to talk to my sister a lot, and my parents, but I think also when I'm feeling very overwhelmed, what's worked for me the best is just to like go on a walk, something like that, something simple, something to get your brain off of stuff, or go work out. That's probably one of the biggest things for me. I mean, I've never been stressed out and then went to the gym and then after I've been more stressed out. It's always the opposites. I'd say that's something that's just like different for everyone, but find that Zen place and go there when you need it, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, we just try to overcomplicate things sometimes. It is just taking a beat to just cut out the noise and just do something for you that you know is going to fill your own cup.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there any kind of books that you've been reading or podcasts that you've been liking to listen to as well?
Yeah, for sure. Books, actually not as much. I'm not, quite frankly, I'm not the fastest reader. I'm not the best reader. I do
Fair.
podcasts. And I realize that I am most interested and paying attention the most when I listen to podcasts, either when I'm driving or when I'm walking. So I like to walk to class every day, and I listen to a podcast pretty much every day. I like to listen to Modern Wisdom is a good one on Spotify by Chris Williamson. He's great. It's probably more centered towards men, but definitely a lot of good stuff for the females as well. And then I listen to Motley Fool Money. It's just about the stock market and the economy. As I kind of get older, try to figure out what's going on and how I can be most educated. So I like to know what's going on with the market. What's another good one? Oh, this is a good poll. The Zerky Show. Shout out that guy. I don't know if you've ever seen or heard of him, but he's just a great speaker, and he just makes little videos like this, and he just puts it up, and he just talks about life and a lot of deep stuff, a lot of mental health stuff, and real stuff, and it's always a calm listen. It's always you know a grounding listen. So that's a good one for people as well.
I think, honestly, one of the things that I think about, and I don't know if you agree with this, but listening to other people and taking in other people's thoughts, their words, how they communicate, I think that helps you with your own communication. I mean, it's kind of like the mirror neurons. When you see something happening somewhere else or you hear it, you also kind of integrate it into your life.
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting because nowadays with everyone having their own podcasts and stuff they listen to, everyone's viewpoints are going to be a little bit different. But and that's kind of the beauty of it is you can listen to whatever you're interested in, and I promise whatever you're interested in, there's people making content on it, and the more you can learn about what they're doing, follow their steps and the way that they sound, and you'll improve yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I have one last question for you, which ties back to kind of the theme of this episode. And it's kind of, if somebody is feeling scared or they're fearful of something or they're in that discomfort, what would you tell them to kind of push through it?
I would say breathe. Kind of look at yourself in like a retrospective spot. This is what I'll sometimes do when I'm real stressed and overthinking stuff. I'll think, what would me 10 years from now? Would I look back and probably laugh at myself for how big of a deal I'm making this? Like, is this that serious? Do I really need to be getting this worked up over it? Just taking a second to get some perspective on the situation. Everything seems so big to us in the moment, but if you really just take a second, breathe, do what you need to do to just settle down. And I think a lot of times when you look back on it, you'll almost laugh at yourself and be like, that's so funny. Why was I freaking out over this situation when in reality it just wasn't that big of a deal?
I totally agree with that. I think we always kind of overthink things and we think it's such a big deal when in reality it's probably not. And I definitely made an episode about kind of why there is no wrong decision or right decision. There's only your decision, and you will
Mhm.
figure it out from there. Things will always work out the way they're meant to. And so just to kind of keep things in perspective, like you said.
Totally agree. I like to say I don't believe in regrets because you learn from them, and that's what makes you who you are.
Yeah, and like you said, there's only wins and learnings. So
Exactly.
yeah, can never go wrong.
Hmm.
Yeah, thank you so much for talking and being a guest on this podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time to do it. And I also really appreciate you being brave enough to kind of go online every single day for a minute and talking about topics that you're passionate about and putting yourself out there. And I think it's inspiring to those around us who, are scared to do something, but you show up anyways.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you inviting me on here. It's not anything I've ever done or even considered a possibility until today. So this has been fun. It's been cool. And I love talking about
Yeah.
this kind of stuff. And it's fun to see like-minded people that are also doing cool stuff. And hopefully we'll be some kind of, leaders of our generation one day or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Who knows? I mean, we never know kind of what opportunity is around the corner. And we just
Exactly.
have to kind of be open-minded. And yeah, maybe we'll do another episode.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be sweet one day. Let's do it.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode. I definitely took away a lot of things from Kevin and what he had to say. I think one of the biggest things for me was that there's only winnings and learnings, and also just how important it is to be consistent and to show up no matter how terrifying it is, because it unleashes so many opportunities and you realize that you have so much more potential than you thought. So I hope this resonated with you. Definitely will have Kevin on again. He is so insightful and it's so interesting to just get another perspective on here, which is what I love. And this is what this podcast is all about, to kind of have these honest conversations and broaden our perspectives so that we can grow as individuals. I think that is so, so important when navigating your career, is kind of just being open-minded. Definitely follow this podcast so you don't miss any episodes, and share this episode with a friend, a family member, someone that might need a little bit more encouragement or who has fears holding them back. And let's get uncomfortable. So, thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.